everyone, and welcome to today's episode. I'm so excited you are here. Transformation is so yummy for the soul. I love when I get to witness and see and hear different people's stories of transformation. In my program, Sacred Awakening, I get to witness so many different people's transformation. I have been running this Akashic Record program since 2017. We have had over 2,000 students take this program, and I can't describe how amazing it is to see people's lives transform. The records completely transformed my life, all areas of my life, in so many different ways. But one of the biggest things that the records helped me transform is the image I had about myself and my self-worth and what I was worthy of and what I was capable of doing. So today what I wanted to do is share some of these beautiful transformational stories, because they're so yummy, like they're so enriching for the soul. So let's jump into the Akashic Record Sacred Awakening transformational stories. I cannot wait for you to see which ones touch your heart.
Honestly, I had no idea what the records were when I signed up for the class. I really had no idea what they were. But I liked, I did a few master classes with you, and I really liked the way that you taught, and it just kind of spoke to me. And I had done probably way too many master classes all at once from different vendors. And yours was the one that didn't make me exhausted by the end of the session. So I thought about it, and I was just led here. So I really had no idea. I've gone from not believing I had any gifts and abilities to knowing that I have them, even though people told me over and over, you have them, you have them, you have them. You know, you're always like, yeah, sure. But I know that I have them. I know how to use them. I mean, rudimentary. I'm no expert by any means, but things are becoming more and more clear. And my life is going to take a drastic change in the next year. I'm not going to be in my current role during the day.
And what are you wanting to move into?
I want to open my own business and do consultations. I want to expand it into Reiki. I've taken the classes, just not finished the attunements. And I want to move into just helping people on a more personal basis than what I do now. I understand now kind of what, I don't want to say my entire purpose, but I know what I'm supposed to do now. And I mean, we went from just playing in the records and asking silly questions essentially to where do I need to go from here? And how I want to say, how fast can I go? And there's really, I just heard them say, there's no limit to your speed. So it's just getting out of my own way. And I will tell you that in the beginning of this course, I could not have done this interview. I was very afraid. I had no confidence. I doubted everything that I did, and I was just scared of everything. I would wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, petrified, and not knowing what I was afraid of, but just a bone-chilling fear. And it was every day. And every day between 3 and 4, I would wake up. And I think in the first couple of weeks of this course, there was an activation or an attunement where there was protection. And when I would wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I would say that I'm clear, I'm protected. I'm protected by the white light of the divine. And I won't say it happened overnight, but doing those practices consistently, when I woke up, I sleep most of the time now.
Oh, that's amazing.
I was almost agoraphobic to the point where I had a very difficult time going out in public, grocery shopping, Target, any of those places. I just couldn't go. And now I've learned part of it is that I'm an empath and I pick up on
Yes.
all the energy. But I've learned how to protect myself and I can go now. I may not be able to stay out for days at a time,
Oh,
but I
yeah.
can go and I can function again. I guess just that I have that connection with spirit and the divine, because it's something that I've struggled with for years. Like, I believe that there are forces greater than us.
Mhm.
I believe in certain ascended masters. I just could not understand, uh, like, religion just didn't make sense to me. And now I know that that's okay. I
Mhm.
don't have to sit in the front pew. I don't even have to go to church because I never felt comfortable there anyway.
Mhm.
I just know that I still have that connection with spirit or with the divine or what source, whatever you want to call it. And I'm protected and I'm loved and I'm cherished and I'm accepted for who I am.
So acceptance and confidence and forgiveness. And I think those three things, that's not what I was expecting when I signed up. I really was going to ask a million questions about like all the really ego driven, what should I do? How should I do it? Am I going to make money? How's the money going to come? Like, tell me.
Practical life questions, right?
Yeah. Like, tell me what to do and I'll do it. But I found when I would go in, I wasn't even drawn to ask those questions.
Mm-hmm.
I was more interested about my personal growth and how to be a better partner to my husband and how just to be, like a better person. And even though I still want the answers to these money goals, I find every time I go in, that's not my drive in the records. Even before this, like cosmic downloads wasn't really part of my vocabulary. I would just get, not that it has to be, but I would just know information. Things would come out of me, and I always have had that sort of gift. And, sometimes I'd see things, sometimes hear things, but I never really knew what part of it's my ego. Is it just me? Is it coincidence? But not only asking questions in the records and having that experience, but also the process of being in the program validated some of the things that I was seeing, hearing, feeling, and sensing, and in a way that, not that I gave over control, but it was this simultaneously that I was just the messenger on certain things, and other things okay, and I could differentiate that now that I couldn't before. Like, okay, this is me, this is my opinion. No, this is information coming from somewhere else that you need to hear. And that was that's the one thing that I needed for my confidence to go into this work. I have this other modality that I do that works with epigenetics and releasing inherited and trapped DNA. And then Amy came along at the perfect time with the Akashic Records. I knew nothing about the Akashic Records, and I was so intrigued. And in speaking with you, it's just okay, this is going to be the perfect fit to help me personally kind of figure out what I really want to do and what direction I want to go in my life. Because as much as I love Pilates and yoga and teaching, I knew that there was something else I wanted to do. And the Akashic Records and Amy and your course really helped clarify that for me. I don't know, it's a gift for me to go into that with someone so intimately, but also the information that comes out is just really utterly amazing. And I'm such a practical science person. Really hearing me say this, you would think that's not me, but it's like opened me up to a whole different experience and a way of being with people and helping them on their journey with their lives without having to be like a therapist or a teacher in a different role. It felt like, or it feels like what it's done is like everything that I've already known about myself and everything that I've already had, it's just enhanced it and made it much more like tangible and energized. Like I'm much more present and I'm much more able to access what is needed in the situation much faster than I was before. So it is medicine. It's totally.
It totally is. And it's medicine on all levels of the soul. And it's really, really just magnificent how they do it.
Again, I didn't know anything about the Akashic Records and I didn't know anything about the more crystalline energies that you teach. And it was a valuable information. And how you taught it was so easy to absorb and learn, and how it was reinforced. So I felt like I got a lot of knowledge and a lot of practical knowledge, but also a lot of support and love and caring, like for who I was in my journey, not just that I signed up for a course and you move on. So I think anyone out there that is even remotely like has been drawn to Amy for whatever reason, and if you have the time and the desire, definitely take the opportunity to learn this, because there's no harm, no negative benefit. Like all you get is growth, no matter what you want to do with it. Is like, it's just a beautiful experience, no matter what where you are in the world with. Want to be a healer, already have modalities, or just wanting some self-discovery tools.
My name is Jason Coulter, and I am a retired backup dancer for the Backstreet Boys. No, I'm just kidding.
Are you really?
Yeah, I work in cell towers. I think the reason why I'm probably here is I had a kind of a unique experience. I didn't know, how the Akashic records were going to work for me. I really, I'm really in the beginning of my journey. So, went headlong, you just look at all the modalities and you get curious and you start looking and you learn things. And I realized that through QHHT, which is quantum healing hypnotic therapy, that from a young age, I was actually able to contact with my guides until I turned 18, and I really didn't understand it even then. But I found out, and then all of a sudden, all these rushing memories come back. And, through my QHHT appointment, my guides told me that, yeah, you've been practicing it your whole life. Things you think are just common sense are not to people. And you just say them, and you didn't know that this was actually that you were being used, to deliver these messages. And I didn't know about, going on my journey. I didn't know about empaths. And I always wondered why people would just meet me and in 2 minutes would tell me their entire life story. And it was, and this course and your teachings have really opened my eyes from a very, very beginner standpoint to what the truth is. I was going through a rough time in my life, and my guides told me to stop and meditate, and I did, and I didn't really feel that much better. And I opened up my phone, and for some reason I had like 10 or 11 emails from Amy. I go, Akashic Records. And so then I go look at the price, and I was like, I can't afford that. But I reached out to you, and Amy sent me a personal message, and then it didn't matter what the price was. I knew it was something that I needed to do. And you know what? It hasn't been a huge impact. And, since I've been on this journey, I've had a lot of amazing things happen with money. For instance, I know I've said it a couple times, my QHHT appointment, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this, but I'm scheduling it. And I was really nervous about how I was going to pay for it. And it was $600. And then all of a sudden in the mail, I get a $600 check from a warranty I had on a motorcycle. 2 years
I
earlier.
love that.
When you're in the Akashic Records and you're giving a reading, say what you're hearing. Don't hold back.
Yes.
And but anyway, what it was is she was in between jobs and she was wondering what was going to happen. And basically what I got is, this is going to come out of nowhere. You are not going to see this coming. You're not going to have to do anything. You don't have to put out your resume. You don't have to talk to anyone. That this job is going to find you. And what the guides told me is big, loud letters, contractor. Well, in my line of work, a contractor is generally the guy that's out working,
Mhm.
And so I didn't say contractor. I said, it's going to come from an unexpected source, like somewhere you wouldn't think it would come from. And she called me and told me, I got a job offer from Verizon. I had no idea. I found out people were talking and advising without talking to me, and it just came out of nowhere. And she goes, I am going to be a contractor.
I love it. And one of the things we talk about is always say what you're hearing.
I didn't know if I was, really doing things right. And it was just a really good reassurance that the things I'm doing and the things that you've taught actually work. And the guides are there for you all the time. Everybody hates Mondays, right? And, recently I've just been thankful for, actually having a job that I can go to every day that gives me a lot of freedom. And I just started being thankful for the little things in my life. And all of a sudden, Mondays I don't dread. Yesterday was a great day. I was high energy. I was happy. And usually it's Monday and I'm walking around, oh, it's a Monday and I hate it. And just that feeling of positivity and the feeling that, there is something else out there that has got your back 100% of the time, all the time. And just that feeling alone is so amazing. And Amy, you're a great teacher and a great human being. And I know I've told you this before. Thank you. And it's been such an honor to share the space in the class with you these last few months.
My name is Dawn Hamilton. I am an Akashic Record practitioner healer. So I've taken both the first and the second level of everything that Amy has to offer. And I can tell you right now, it's the best decision that I have ever made in my entire life. I could feel the energy, which was really new for me, because at that time I didn't really have a good identification system internally on what all that was. And little by little, I started to feel and know and understand, and became very familiar with which clairs of mine were stronger than the others, and kind of brought that all full circle for me, which was very, very empowering. The unconditional love that is there that you can just plug into, if you get nothing else, it's the unconditional love. You're not alone. It's there for you. And even if it's just like having a friend on speed dial, for lack of a better phrase. But being able to plug into that and learning how and when to plug into it as a tool to maneuver through your life is just exceptional. It's amazing. I had a lot of I struggle a lot with self-doubt and self-worth, and I was like, am I really good enough? Do people really want to hear what I have to say? And so when it came to the certification process, the way that all came down, it was like bam, bam, bam. And it worked well for me to build my confidence and to really trust everything that was coming in. And without that exercise, without that practice, I don't think I would have been able to move to the next level, let alone move into having my own business. For many, many years, I was always seeking outside of myself. And as soon as I was able to plug into the Akashic Records, that allowed me to be in the driver's seat, and it allowed me to start to understand and look at things myself without the outside influences, which was kind of scary at first because I had to learn how to rely on me, on myself. So there was a little bit of a growth period, and it has changed my life so dramatically. I am not the same person I was when I started my journey with the Akashic Records. Slowly but surely, I was able to start to engage more and more and more. And the more I stood in my power, the more that I actually took ownership of it, the brighter my light got. And the more I'm going to say addicted I became to that feeling, that growth. And I'm like, oh, this is just, it's like, I want more of this. Nothing sets my soul on fire like working in the Akashic Records, nothing. And it's just, it is such an honor to be able to work with people and to do what I get the privilege of doing. And it's just so amazing.
In my professional life, I'm an executive director for a music organization, and it's something that I absolutely love to do. When I tell you that I honestly felt like I was the most least intuitive person that ever walked the earth, that's exactly how I felt, and that's what I believed. For a really long time, I think back into my teenage years was when I first started having an interest in intuition and developing that. And let me tell you, I must have over 30 books that deal with, learning how to use your intuition and, all that great stuff. But I was never really able to really be able to do that. And as a matter of fact, just a year or so ago, I took a course by a very well-known medium. And I actually didn't finish the course, but I had a really hard time in being able to do like the visualizations and like everything that was involved in it. I had a really difficult time. And I just thought, maybe I'm not ready for it at this point in my life. And that's kind of, how it's been like for 30 plus years. Because while I love my family to pieces and I love the work that I do with the music nonprofit, I just felt like there was something missing. And it had been that way for a few years. Like I just felt like there was a void, something that needed to be filled, and I didn't know what it was. And so when I went away, I had the fortune to come across a guided meditation, and it was over an hour long. But 3/4 of the way through, this whole big like burst of energy and joy came into me when I realized that I absolutely want to be able to help people intuitively in some way, to be able to deliver much needed information from the universe. Because and it was so funny because that day that I was doing the research, I was praying to find an answer that would help me be able to be the person that I'm truly meant to be, and to be able to help as many people as I could while I am here on this earth. And I'm telling you, it was that day, Amy, I'm not kidding, I'm not exaggerating. It was a day that I found the Awakening with Amy group.
Aw, that's
And
awesome.
and I have such
I have
goosebumps right
goosebumps
now.
too.
So I kind of had to be optimistic, is what I will say. I had to be optimistic. I didn't believe in myself, and I didn't believe that anything that you were offering was going to work for me. And so by being optimistic and giving it a chance, I was able to go into my records. And
Just
I
makes me
know.
so happy.
Like, oh, I can't begin to tell you how much appreciation I have for you, Amy.
Oh, thank you.
You have been able to bring out this deep-seated soul that I feel that has been hiding for so long. I mean, it's been an incredible journey being in the Sacred Awakening program, and it's just anyone who has zero belief in themselves, which was me, to try it. I'm ready to be me. I am so ready to be the real me. And the real me had been hiding for so long. You know, this is what I've wanted. This is what I wanted to be able to do. I've just wanted to be able to help people. And believe me, I've helped people in a lot of different ways throughout my life because that's just my nature. That's how I am. But I wanted to be able to go deeper. Like I wanted to be able to start people in their healing process, because just getting started is, I think, one of the hardest things you can ever do with anything is getting started. And if someone's able to talk to someone that they don't even know, totally unbiased of their life and what they've been about, someone like me, I just felt like it's such a privilege to be able to go into someone else's records and provide much needed information and healing and help them get started on their healing journey. And if people have any doubt whatsoever, no matter how minute, they really should take this course. When people say it'll change your life, they're not kidding. And it's not an exaggeration, because I am a whole new person. And the first person that saw that was my husband. He was like, every time you come out of a reading, even if it was really intense, you are beaming with love and joy.
Yeah.
Beaming. And he's like, I feel like that's when you're the happiest, is when you're doing readings for people, no matter how intense some of them may be. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. As the old cliche goes, if I can do it, anyone can do it.
All right, my friends, I hope you enjoyed these transformational stories. Which one of these stories spoke to you the most? Now, I have a really important question. Are you being guided to explore your own Akashic Records? Maybe you already have access to the Akashic Records. Maybe you're being guided to go deeper in your transformation. If you don't have access to the Akashic Records and you're feeling the pull, the nudge towards them, because the records start speaking to students when they are ready, I'd love to invite you to join us in Sacred Awakening. We have always an early bird discount that happens a couple times a year. If you'd like to, you can go to theamyrobeson.com/records, theamyrobeson.com/records, and you can join us at the discounted price. If the discount has expired, you can join the wait list and learn when we will be discounting the program and enrolling students again into it. I hope you enjoyed these transformational stories. Know that you are the creator of your own destiny. You have the ability to transform your life at any given moment. The records, the Akashic Records, is one spiritual tool that you can do them with. It's important to listen to your heart on what you're being guided to use and utilize to transform your life. I can't wait to see you in the next video. Please share this with a friend and like and subscribe. See you again soon. Bye.